So today what we are going to do is the concept of DC load line. So DC load line is in line with our transistor concepts. So we have seen the transistor. So just a recap of what we did. This is the three terminal device, emitter, base and collector. And here we are assuming that this is a NPN transistor. So we have N plus, P minus, and then we have again a N. So to operate this transistor, emitter base, there are two junctions, J1 and J2. So emitter base is always forward biased. And base collector is going to be always reverse bias. This is the connection. Plus minus. This is going to be our VBE and this will be VCB. So I told you the conventions of naming this. The one with the positive sign is connected to base, so I write B first and then E. And in this case, collector is connected to the positive, so I write collector first and then B. The conventional flow of current is going to be this way. So IC is going to come this way. Then from here we will have IB, and IC plus IB is going to be IE. So last class we saw the relationship between IE, IC and IB. Just to reiterate that, IE is equal to IC plus IB and IC is equal to beta times of IB. And if you want a relationship between alpha and beta, so 1 plus beta is equal to 1 upon 1 minus alpha. Or we can also write alpha is equal to beta upon 1 plus beta, or beta is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha. So some formulas that we saw last time. Now in this thing, the motion of electrons is always like this. So some electrons will move this way, majority of them will go into this, and few electrons will go into the base. So that is why IC is always much higher than IB. So in some of the derivations, IE is almost taken equal to IC. So this is what it is. Now today we are going to do a concept of DC load line. So based on the above thing, we are going to do a concept of DC load line and region of operation. Region of operations. So in which region we should generally operate the transistor. Transistors used in amplifiers must be biased into an on state with constant levels of collector, base and emitter currents. They should also have constant terminal voltages. So whenever we talk about biasing circuits, we have to have a stable collector current, a stable base current and a stable emitter current, as well as we should have the terminal voltages which are constants. the levels of IC and VCE, the levels of IC and VCE define the transistor's operating point or the Q point. So Q point is generally defined by the levels of IC and VCE. So rather I'll write VCE and IC. So we show VCE on the x-axis and IC on the y-axis. The circuit that provides this bias point or this state of stability is called as the bias circuit. Yes, Rutvij, any problem?
No, sir.
So this point or this circuit which gives a very stable Q point is called as the biasing circuit. So I'll just write this. So we want that these levels should be very stable, and the circuit which provides me a stable Q point is called as biasing circuit. It's called as biasing circuit. Just a minute. So this biasing circuit that we are talking about, what it does? Ideally, the current and voltage levels in a bias circuit should remain absolutely constant. So here we are talking about some constant DC levels so that my transistor is always in the forward active mode. Now to ensure this, we are going to use a we are going to use a what? We are going to use a biasing circuit. And once we do that, we should ensure that my circuit is going to give me constant levels of VCE and IC. So this stable Q point, so the circuit which gives me this is basically called as a biasing circuit. Now this biasing circuit ensures that this VCE and IC are constant in spite of changes in beta. Why beta can change? Beta can change with temperature. So even if the beta changes, we want that the Q point should be stable and it should not change. However, in practice, the Q point is affected by transistor's current gain. So beta is also called as HFE. So in the data sheets you will see HFE, that is beta, and by temperature changes. The best bias circuits have the greatest stability, that is, they hold the currents and voltages substantially constant regardless of the variations in beta and the temperature. So in some way beta changes with temperature, but the best biasing circuit has So we will say the best circuits will have the greatest stability, that is they will hold the current and voltage substantially constant. So underline the word substantially, regardless of the variations in the values of beta, which are generally because of change in temperatures. Now let us see more about this DC load line and the Q point, which is also called as bias point. The word Q stands for quiescent point. Q stands for quiescent point. So quiescent, the dictionary meaning of quiescent is sweet or a comfortable point. So let us move ahead. Now DC load line. What is a DC load line? So for any biasing circuit, the DC load line is a straight line drawn on the transistor's output characteristics. So when we call this it as DC load line, it is a straight line drawn on the output characteristics. So I am just writing it, line on output characteristics. Line on output characteristics. Now we all know that output characteristics is IC versus VCE. So it is IC versus VCE. IC is on Y and VCE is on X. For a common emitter circuit, the load line is a graph of collector current IC and the collector emitter voltage VC for a given value of RC and for a given supply voltage. So you get this some value of IC and VC, provided you need to consider some value resistances. So you have to have values of resistances and supply voltage. So resistances can be RC or RE, or there can be some input side base side resistance RB, and supply voltage could be generally called as VCC. The load line shows all the corresponding levels of IC and VCE that can exist in a circuit. The load line indicates all possible levels of IC and VCE that can exist in a circuit. So let us draw one small circuit and try to understand the concept of DC load line. So please draw this circuit with me. So this is RB, RC, and here you can draw like this. This is nothing but VCC. So let's assume some values. So like I told you, this is going to be IB. This is here what is going to flow through the collector terminal is IC, and here we are going to have IE. So let us say RC is 10 kilo ohms for now and VCC is 20 volts. So what we can do here is, for the time being, we can just name this terminals base, collector and emitter. So here we have the voltage drop across this is plus minus VC. So please draw this. Now if you apply KVL on the output side, so this side is the, we will say, input side, and this side is, I will say, this is nothing but the output side. So if I apply, I'm just writing the statement here, applying KVL on output side, we can start with this VCC. So I can write VCC, voltage drop in the direction of current is negative, so minus ICRC. Then we have a voltage drop VCE, so we are going from positive to negative, so I can write minus VCE is equal to 0. So finally we have a ground loop. So from this we can write simply VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. We can write VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. So this is like one equation. Now some very important point. What is the general equation of a line? We have said that DC load line is a line on the output characteristics. It's a line on the output characteristics with Y is equal to IC and X is equal to VCE. So we know, you can identify here that VCE is basically X and Y is nothing. IC is Y and VCC and RC are constants. But we all know that you can always write an equation of a line like this, Y is equal to mx plus c. So let me try and do that. I will write here IC RC is equal to VCC minus VCE. VCC minus VCE. And then I can write in a slightly different way, IC is equal to VCC upon RC minus VCE upon RC. So to take it further, I will write here IC is equal to minus 1 by RC into VCE plus VCC by RC. Now if it's a line, it will have some slope. Now the question is whether the slope is positive or negative. Now by looking at this equation, what is your concern? What can you say? You can say that, okay, I have represented this in terms of Y, this is M, this is X, and this term is now C. So here we have represented the output equation as a function of Y equal to mx plus c. Now, like I told you that this DC load line is a line on the output characteristics. That means here we have IC and here we have VCE. Now by looking at this equation, can somebody tell me whether the slope of the line is positive or negative? Just post in the chat box whether the slope of the line is positive or negative. The slope of the line is negative because m is equal to minus 1 by RC. Okay, so line is slope is negative, that means I can draw the line this. But now the next question is, what are these points? What are these points? So let me just write this as point A and point B. Point A and point B. So I know that the slope is negative, but whether I should draw a line here or I should draw a line here, where I should draw this line? I know that this slope is negative and the slope of this line is minus 1 by RC. Now my task is to find out what is the value of A and B. So we can write at point A, you can see at point A the value of IC is 0. The value of IC is 0. So we can put IC equal to 0 in this equation so that we can get the x-intercept, that is the value of VCE. And if you want to find out this point, then we can put VCE is equal to 0 so that we can get the y-intercept. So at point A, IC is equal to 0. So if IC is equal to 0, we can write this 0 equal to minus 1 by RC into VCE plus VCC upon RC. So we can simply write VCE is equal to VCC. VCE is equal to VCC. At point B, we can write VCE is equal to 0. So VCE is equal to 0 means IC is equal to VCC upon RC, simple. So this is what we, so this point or this intercept here is going to be VCC by RC, and here this is going to be VCC. So please draw this very carefully, and once you are done with this, just write done in the chat box. So here if you look at the values, VCC would be 10 volts and IC would be 10 upon RC value is 10 kilo ohms. So that will be 1 into 10 raised to minus 3, that is 1 milliampere. That is 1 milliampere. So point to be noted, if you consider a point, VCE equal to 16 volts and IC equal to 1.5 milliamperes. So if you substitute VCE is equal to 16 volts and IC equal to 1.5 milliamperes in this equation, then these values of voltage and current do not satisfy the equation, that is the output current equation. Hence, this combination of voltage can never exist in the above circuit. So only those combinations of IC and VCE can exist which satisfy this particular equation. So the Q point is a point on the DC load line. Q point is a point on the DC load line. Once you are done writing with this, just write done in the chat box. Okay, Vinayak, I'll just wait for 1 more minute. Now, let's talk about Q point in slightly more detail. So, Q point. What is a Q point? So, the DC bias point or the quiescent point identifies the transistor's collector current and collector emitter voltage when there is no input signal at the base of the base terminal. So when you don't apply any signal at the base of the transistor, at that time what is the condition or what are the voltages and currents flowing will decide the Q point. Q point defines the DC conditions in the circuit. So very important, when we say DC analysis, we will always DC conditions. When we do DC analysis, we will always calculate Q point. When a signal is applied to the base of the transistor, IB varies according to the instantaneous amplitude of the signal. This causes IC also to vary and consequently produce a variation in VCE. So the meaning of this is that if you apply some thing at the base which is varying with time, then it will produce a consequent variation in the collector current also. So let us say that if this is my DC load line, it's like this. Here we have VCE, here we have IC. So let us say that this is like an ideal transistor. Something like this. So we already know these points. So this is actually VCC upon RC, and this point is nothing but VCC. So what it means is something like this. So if we have a Q point which is somewhere here at the center of the DC load line, if we apply something at the base, we also know that IC is beta times of IB. So if we create a variation at base, then we can see a corresponding variation at the collector, and the variation at the collector will be beta times of IB. So this is what we mean to say, that a small variation at the base will create a corresponding variation in current at the collector, the maximum value of this would be VCC upon RC. So IC can be equal to VCC upon RC, and the minimum value, let's say IC is 0. So if the collector current increases, the VCE is going to fall, simply because VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. So you can see that if collector current increases, if this thing increases, then VCE is going to reduce. So when the voltage tries to increase, we will show a reverse. When the current tries to increase, the voltage will try to fall. So here we can write VCE is equal to 0, and here the maximum value of VCE is going to be equal to VCC. So by looking at this, we can say that it is better that Q point is at the center of the DC load. This is our Q point. If Q point moves on this side, then what will happen? If Q point moves on this side, the lower part will get clipped off. If Q point moves towards VCC, then the upper part will get clipped off. So it is important to have Q point somewhere at the center of the DC load. So here we talk about something called as selection of Q point. So we saw that Q point defines the DC condition in the circuit. When a signal is applied at the transistor's base, so here IB varies according to the instantaneous amplitude of the signal. This causes a corresponding change in IC to produce a variation in VCE. So how is the link? IB changes IC, IC changes VCE. If IC increases, VCE decreases. If IB increases, IC also increases, because this relationship is linear, and here there is a negative slope. That is the reason why as IC increases, VCE decreases. So here we need to speak about selection of Q point, where this Q point should actually lie. When used as an amplifier, the transistor output, that is VCE, must swing up and down by equal amounts. So this swing that we have here, so this should be equal, otherwise the signal will become non-linear. This implies that the output voltage swing must be symmetrical above and below the bias point. So this level and this level are important, and the swing must be symmetrical above and below the bias point. Asymmetrical VCE swing, if any, that means if the Q point moves toward the left or right, so we will get some asymmetrical swing, is unsuitable and leads to clipping. Therefore, in most cases, the Q point needs to be at the center of the DC load line. So most of the times we will have biasing circuits which ensure that the Q point is at the center of the DC load line. So this is very, very important. So please draw this graph in your notebook. Once you are done with this, you just write done in the chat box. So fine, now we first drew the DC load line. Then we said that okay, Q point should be on this DC load line. Now we also said that where on this DC load line. So now we are saying that okay, it should be at the center of the DC load line. And then now the next question is whether this Q point is stable or not. This Q point is stable or not. So if this is not stable, then what is the point? So now we talk about the stability of the Q point. So once you draw this graph, please write done in the chat box. So the conclusion of this is Q point must be at the center of the DC load line. Must be at the center of the DC load line. Okay, Vinayak. What about others? Pooja, Rutvij, Sahil. Hope you are writing it. Okay, Shiv Kumar. I'll wait for a minute here. In the meantime, if anybody has some doubts, you can ask. Okay, Dishan. Okay, okay, so let's move to the next point, that is stability of Q. Stability of Q point. Now in the exam there is a small derivation that they might ask you, so just be a little bit careful when you take down the things. Stability of Q point. Now we always know that if we want to operate the transistor for amplification, we are going to always operate it in forward active mode. Forward active mode means what? So today's lecture only started with that. So forward active mode means junction J1 is forward bias and J2 is reverse bias. So we know that minority charge carriers can flow through a reversed bias junction. This implies that a leakage current can get developed. So if the junction J2 is reversed bias, no doubt IC is flowing, but at the same time, since it is reversed biased, a leakage current can also get developed. This leakage current is denoted by ICBO. This leakage current is denoted by ICBO and it flows from collector to base. It flows from collector to base. So in addition to IC, there is also a current which is called as ICBO. So that is because of the junction being reverse bias. So now we can write here IC, here we can write IC is equal to alpha times of IE, that is our general equation. But in addition to this, now we will have a current which is ICBO, which flows from collector to the base, that is in the direction of IC. So the starting point of this derivation is going to be this equation where ICBO is the leakage current developed because collector base junction is reversed bias when the transistor is operating in the forward active mode. So this is basically your leakage current. Now we can write here IC is equal to alpha times of, so we know IE is nothing but IC plus IB, and then I can write here plus ICB. Now I am just using some formulas and expanding certain terms so that we get something meaningful. So IC is alpha times of IC plus alpha times of IB plus ICBO remains as it is. Now you can take this alpha IC on the other side and write IC minus alpha IC is equal to alpha times IB plus ICBO. So we can very easily write here that 1 minus alpha into IC is equal to alpha times of IB plus ICBO, and where we can write IC is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha into IB plus 1 upon 1 minus alpha into ICBO. So please recollect now that we had written that beta is equal to alpha upon 1 minus alpha, and using this derivation we can also write that 1 plus beta is equal to 1 upon 1 minus. So just we use this in the above equation and we can simply write IC is equal to beta times of IB plus 1 plus beta times of ICBO, 1 plus beta times of ICBO. Okay. Now, when it comes to stability, what is stability? By definition, stability of a system is a measure of the sensitivity of a network to variations in the network parameters. The stability of a system is a measure of the sensitivity of a network to variations in the network parameters. Now, which are the network parameters to which the system is sensitive? So, the stability factor S, so we define a factor, that is stability factor, is a function of three parameters, that is ICBO, then we have VBE, and the third one is beta. The third one is beta. But the most significant parameter here is ICBO, because the leakage current increases like anything with temperature, whereas VBE and beta do not change much with temperature. So beta actually increases with increase in temperature. VBE decreases about 2.5 millivolts per degree Celsius with an increase in temperature, because we have seen that VBE is KT by Q ln of NAND upon Ni square. So that temperature term is in the denominator, and that is why if the temperature increases, VBE is going to decrease. And then we have ICBO, that is the reverse saturation current, which doubles in value for every 10 degree rise in temperature. So at the most there can be around 50 to 60 degree rise in temperatures when we are talking about any electronic circuit, and the one which is doubling is ICBO. So ICBO is a concern when it comes to designing the circuits. So here we will define stability as a function of three terms, that is, let us say S dash plus S double dash plus S triple dash. So there are three terms for three parameters, that is ICBO, VBE and beta. Now what is S dash? So S is equal to, I will say, change in IC. We want change in IC. Again change in IC. First with respect to ICBO. Second with respect to VBE. And third with respect to beta. Third with respect to beta. So when we write S dash, it will be delta IC upon delta ICBO when VBE and beta equal to constant. So this is basically called as a partial derivative. It is just like normal derivative keeping other terms constant. So similarly we have S double dash, that is going to be delta IC upon delta VBE, and naturally now ICBO and beta is equal to constant. And we can guess that the third one, that is S triple dash, is going to be delta IC again upon delta, that is the change in the value of beta, that is equal to, or when VBE and ICBO are constant. So generally for most practical applications, VBE and beta remains constant, and therefore the stability of Q point mainly depends on the leakage current ICBO. It depends mainly on what? Only the leakage current, which is ICBO. So now we can say S is equal to S dash, and hence S is equal to delta IC upon delta ICBO. That's it. So this is going to be my stability factor. This is going to be my stability factor. So ideally the stability factor must be 0. Ideally, the stability factor must be 0. That is, there should not be any change in IC with a change in ICBO. But typically, we can take, so I'm just writing here, typically, we can write that S, sometimes in the paper they give it as SICO. So it is one and the same thing, that should be less than or equal to 10. Should be less than or equal to 10. Okay. Should be always less than or equal to 10. But just working with this derivative is going to be difficult. So because we don't have ICBO when we are doing the Q point. So now I am going to go ahead with one more small derivation. So I will write this as expression for stability factor. So let us write here expression for stability factor. Expression for stability factor. So the first thing in that is S is delta IC upon ICBO. But we know that IC is equal to beta times of IB plus 1 plus beta times of ICBO. So this is the expression that we have already derived. Now we want delta IC upon ICBO. So what we'll do is we'll differentiate this equation with respect to IC. So please note down the steps. Differentiating with respect to IC. So we can write here delta IC upon IC is equal to, beta is a constant, so delta IB upon delta IC plus 1 plus beta into delta ICBO upon delta IC. So beta and 1 plus beta are constants. So we just differentiated on both sides with respect to IC. So differentiating a variable with respect to itself will give you 1 equal to beta into delta IB upon delta IC plus 1 plus beta delta ICBO upon delta IC. So this is what we get here, and then we can just take or open up this term slightly or take this on the other side. So what we will get here is, let me write it here, 1 minus beta delta IB upon delta IC is equal to 1 plus beta into delta ICBO upon delta IC. So we can write now, that is delta ICBO upon delta IC. So this 1 plus beta, I will take it on the left hand side. Is equal to 1 minus beta into delta IB upon delta IC upon 1 plus beta upon 1 plus beta. So what is delta IC du upon delta IC? It is stability factor only. So S is equal to 1 minus beta into delta IB upon delta IC upon 1 plus beta. So if you look at this expression, what you can say is, so what is the moral of the story here? Therefore, to evaluate S, that is stability factor, we first calculate delta IB upon delta IC, then substitute in this and get the value of S. Then substitute the value in this and get the value of S. So that is the moral of the story. So with this much, to summarize our first 1 hour, we started with a small introduction to BJT where we relooked at IE is equal to IC plus IB. Then we spoke about DC load line, but then the question was where to draw this line. So the line has to be drawn on the output characteristics. The second question then arises, then what is the slope of this line? So that is why we used the help of KVL and tried to write an equation using the output parameters VCE and IC. And from that equation, we got to know that the slope of the line is negative. Now, slope is negative, so you can draw a line with a negative slope anywhere in the XY axis, but we want to know specifically what is the location of this, and that is why we calculated point A and point B and fixed the position of the DC load line. Then we said that the Q point must lie on this DC load line. Now must lie on the DC load line means where? Towards extreme left or extreme right. So again we found out that okay, the the Q point must be at the center of the DC load line. Now it must be at the center of the DC load line throughout its operation. However, that might not be possible because every now and then the temperature is going to change and fluctuate. So that might cause some change in some circuit parameters. And that is why we had to introduce the concept of stability of the Q point, which mainly depends on the ICBO, which is collector to base reverse leakage current. So then we came up now with a formula for stability, wherein we said that stability is equal to 1 minus beta delta IB upon delta IC upon 1 plus beta. So which means to calculate S, first we need to calculate delta IB and delta IB by delta IC. Now how to actually use this for a given biasing circuit, that we will see after a small break of exactly 7 minutes. So we will take a small break of 7 minutes, and then in the exam we have something called as analysis of BJT biasing circuits. So there are 3, so we will complete the analysis of all 3. So take a break of 7 minutes, come back at 9:07.
Sir, can you scroll up for a minute?
Which part do you want to see?
Sir, just 1 minute, sir. 2, 3 lines up. as well.
Is this okay? I think
Yes,
the
sir.
entire part is one thing, so I'm keeping that.
Done, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let us start. So this part is going to be now slightly crucial when it comes to designing the circuits. So the first circuit that we are going to do is a circuit. So let us draw the base bias circuit here now. So first circuit is the base bias. So let us draw this. So this circuit is similar to what we have drawn earlier, but yes, we have to do some more calculations inside it, and that is why we are just redrawing it again. RB, RC, VCC. This is base, collector, emitter. This is IB, IC, and IE. And the voltage drop across the collector emitter terminal is VCE. So please draw like this. Now we will generally always start with, so like I told you, this is the input side and this is going to be the output side. So now I am applying KVL on the input side. Here this voltage here is plus minus VBE, and VBE is almost equal to 0.7 volts because base emitter junction is forward biased, and for typical concentrations of Na and Nd we have seen that it comes to around 0.7. So first step is applying KVL on input side. Applying KVL on input side. Input side means you start with VCC, you go through RB, and then you go to VB, and then you go to ground. So I can write VCC minus IBRB minus VBE equal to 0. So from this we can write IB is equal to VCC minus VBE upon RB. So here again the same logic, that is the voltage drops in the direction of current are negative, voltage drops in the direction opposite to that of the current are positive, but we will never go in the direction opposite in 99% of the cases. So always voltage drops in the direction of current are negative. So IB is VCC minus VBE upon RB, and we can simply write IC is equal to beta times of IB. IC is equal to beta times of IB. So I'll call this as equation 1 and I'll call this as equation 2. Now applying KVL, on output side. So let us apply the KVL on output side. So we have VCC minus ICRC minus VCE equal to 0. So here we have VCE is equal to VCC minus ICRC. So now we can say Q point is going to be VCE comma IC. But since this value is called as the Q point value, VCQ comma ICQ. Now comes the calculation of stability. So by formula SICO we have just derived is 1 plus beta upon 1 minus beta into delta IB upon delta IC. So this is what we have actually designed. Oh, so here there is a very small mistake that I have done. Let me correct it. When I cross multiplied this, I did a small mistake here. No, I think I'm correct. Yeah. Just give me a minute. Okay. So we are correct. So I'll just do one more extra step. Here there is a small mistake, that is this is not S, this is 1 by S, and if I want S, it will be 1 plus beta upon what is S? IC upon ICBO, but here we have ICBO upon IC, so this is actually 1 by S. So if I want a S, it should be this way. So please note the formula. So it is the same as what we have written here. So that is 1 plus beta upon 1 minus now. I told you to calculate SICO, we need to calculate IB and delta IB and by delta IC. So where is the equation of IB? Can you see an equation here in IB? Yes, so you can see this equation here. So we can write here delta IB upon delta IC is D by DIC into VCC minus VBE upon RB. Now you can see here VCC is constant, VBE is constant, RB is also constant. So derivative of a constant is going to be 0. Delta IB upon delta IC is going to be 0. Therefore, SICO is equal to 1 plus beta upon 1 minus beta into 0. So this is simply going to be SiCO is going to be 1 plus beta. Now, if we know that beta is very high, it is around 100 to 300. So which means that the stability value is very high. S value is very high. But we have seen that the stability factor value should be as low as possible. Ideally, it should be 0. Hence, this circuit is not very good as far as it comes to stability. It's not very good as far as stability is concerned. Now, what we will do is we will do a small problem to understand what are the actual parameters or how to actually calculate the Q point. So let us write VCC is 18 volts, RC is 2.2 kilo ohms, RB is, let us say, 470 kilo ohms. Then we have, let us say, beta is 100, VBE you can take it as 0.7 volts. Now let us solve this particular problem. Here, so I will just solve it here itself. So first formula is I have to calculate IB. So IB is VCC minus VBE upon RB. So that is going to be 18 minus 0.7 upon 470 into 10 raised to 3. So can somebody tell me this value? What is the value of IB? Can somebody post the value of IB? Come on, solve this. Then we can write IC is beta times of IB. So whatever value you get, just multiply it by 100, and that is going to be the value of IC. Let's quickly post the values. I'm waiting. So how much is the value of IB? Perfect. That is 36.8 microamperes. 36.8 microamperes. And when you multiply this by 100, you will get 3.68 milliamperes. Now, so we have calculated IB. We have calculated IC. IC is calculated means one value in Q point is calculated. Now second value is of VCE. So VCE is equal to VCC minus IC RC. So that will be 18 minus IC. Just now we have calculated 3.68 into 10 raised to minus 3 into RC value is 2.2 into 10 raised to 3. So the value of VCE is equal to how much? Tell me that. 9.90 volts. Okay, everybody just check that. So Q point will be simply VCEQ, ICQ. So VCEQ is 9.90 volts, 3.68 milliamperes. So this is the way in which we can actually calculate the values of the Q point. Now, I want you all to calculate IB, IC and VCE. Formulas are there in front of you. Now you all will calculate and tell me IB, you have to calculate IB, IC and VCE when beta is 50 and beta is 100. When all other parameters are same exactly. So now we want to tabulate actually IB, IC and VBE when beta is 100, beta is half of that is 50, and what if beta doubles? So right now you calculated this 336.8 micro, 3.68 milliamperes, and here we calculated 9.90 volts. So please tell me what are the values when beta is, for beta equal to 50, what is the value of IC, IB and VCE? For beta equal to 200, what is the value of IB, IC and VCE? Please post the values. Now, so I hope you will can calculate this very well. Okay, so is this, so how much is the value of IB, Rutrij? Okay, you are telling me this 1.84, and here this is 13.952 volts. What about this IB?
Sir, it will be same.
IB is same, correct. So this will be 36.8, because you can see IB does not depend on the value of beta in case of base bias circuit. So you can see there is a large variation in current. If beta changes, the current becomes half. So actually when beta doubles or becomes half, we don't want anything to change. That is how our biasing circuit should be. So that is why we are now moving to the next circuit, collector to base bias. Please tell me what are the values here. Here IC should double 7.36 milliamperes, and this is 1.808 volts. So you can see that the Q point changes like anything. I mean, the values are not very similar to each other. So this is a horrible biasing circuit when it comes to amplification, but it is very good when it comes to switching. But our focus is amplifiers. Okay. Now, collector to base bias. So what is the difference between collector to base bias? So in collector to base bias, what they said is remove this point, and connect it to the collector, So that is called as collector to base bias. So I am drawing the circuit for this. So this is RB, RC. So here the current is IC, here the current is IB. So can anybody tell me how much is the current flowing through RC? What is the current flowing through RC? So here it is IC. What is flowing here? IB. So the current flowing through RC will now not be IC, it will be IC plus IB. It will be flowing IC plus IB. So that is the small change. So again, this is your input side. This is the output side. So again, we will start by writing, applying KVL to input side. So we will say, so you can start from here. The voltage at this point is VCE only. So we can write VCE minus IBRB minus VBE equals 0. So we can write VCE is equal to VBE plus IBRB. So I'll call this as equation 1. Now I'll apply KVL on output side. So we can say that is going to be VCC minus IC plus IB is the current flowing through RC minus VCE equal to 0. So we can write VCE equal to VCC minus IC plus IB into RC. So this is equation 1, this is another one is equation, we can take this as equation number 2, and you can see that the LHS of equation 1 and 2 is the same. So we can write equating 1 and 2. So we will write here VBE plus IBRD equal to VCC minus IC plus IB into RC. So you can open up these terms and take some things together. So we can write here now VBE plus IBRD equal to VCC into 1 plus beta times of IB into RC. So this will be 1 plus beta into IB RC plus IB RB equal to VCC minus VCE. So we can now write IB is equal to VCC minus VCE upon 1 plus, you can write 1 plus, or you can write RB plus RB plus 1 plus beta times of RC. So now we can write this. So this is VBE and now we can write here, put it properly. So now we can write IC is beta times of IB. So this is the equation which links input and output together, and then we can calculate the value of IC. So here you should note something, that now if you take this 3 and if you put 3 in 2, what you are going to get is VCE is equal to VCC minus 1 plus beta times of IB. IB is nothing but VCC minus VBE, this entire thing upon RB plus 1 plus beta times of RC into RC. So this is the way to calculate IB, IC and VCE. Now one point to be noted here, in these equations you can note that if IC increases, above the design level, there is an increased voltage drop across RC. So if IC tries to increase because of some reasons, then the voltage drop across RC is going to increase. So if the voltage drop across RC increases, then VCE is going to fall. If VCE reduces, so you can see from here itself that if VCE reduces, your IB is going to reduce. So I can write one more step here. IB is also equal to VCE minus VBE upon RB. So if VCE reduces, IB is also going to fall. And if IB falls, we can see IC also falls. So if IC tries to increase, there is a feedback mechanism by which it again comes into control. So that is why we say if IC increases above the design level, there is an increased voltage drop across RC, resulting in a reduction in VC. If the reduced VC level causes IB to be lower than its design level, so because VC reduces, IB also reduces. And since IC is beta times of IB, the collector current IC also decreases. Thus, an increase in IC produces a feedback effect that tends to return IC again back to its original level. Similarly, if IC tries to reduce, then VCE will increase, and hence IB is also going to increase, and again IC will come back to its original level. So here there is some kind of feedback that if a parameter tries to change, an opposite reaction is created to control it back. Now let us look at the stability. So I will write calculation of stability factor. So what is the equation for IB? Because every now and then we have to differentiate IB upon, so that way we have to do. So IB equation is VCC minus VBE upon RB plus RC into 1 plus beta. But if I try to differentiate this, I'll go crazy. So I am just opening this up. So I am writing here IB RB plus IB into 1 plus beta into RC equal to VCC minus VBE. So here I can again open this up properly and write IB RB plus IB into RC plus beta RC into IB is equal to VCC minus VBE. So I'm just taking these two terms on the other side, and we can write this as VCC minus VBE equals, I'm taking this IB terms together. So I'm writing here IB into RB plus RC, and this beta into IB is IC. So I'll write RC IC. Now this term I'll write IB into RB plus RC equal to minus IC RC plus VCC minus VBE, and further I will write IB is equal to minus ICRC upon RB plus RC plus VCC minus VBE upon RB plus RC. Now this is the equation which I will differentiate with respect to IC. This is the equation which I'll differentiate with respect to IC. So now I will write differentiating with respect to IC. So delta IB upon delta IC is equal to, the derivative of the first term will be simply minus RC upon RB plus RC plus VCC, VBE, RB, RC are all constants, so that will be 0. Now, therefore, I can write delta IB upon delta IC is minus RC upon RB plus RC, and we know that the formula for stability is what? S is equal to 1 plus beta upon 1 minus beta into delta IB upon delta IC. So S will be 1 plus beta upon 1 minus minus will become plus. So that will be plus beta RC upon RB plus RC. So don't try to do much inside this, just leave it this way. It is 1 plus beta upon 1 plus beta RC upon RB plus RC. So this is the formula for stability. Now let us go and solve one problem and then we can just stop. So here RC is, you can take it as 2.2 kilo ohms, VCC is 18 volts, RB is 270 kilo ohms, VBE is 0.7 and beta is again 100. So let's calculate this. So those who are copying this can just copy. And once you are done with the stability derivation, just write done. Let me go to the problem. So please take down the values of the problem in the problem. VCC is 18 volts, RC is 2.2 kilo ohms. Only RB is now 270, so other values are absolutely same. VB, beta, all those are same. So let us try and solve that. So I am writing solution to problem. First, IB is equal to VCC minus VBE upon RB plus RC into 1 plus beta. So that will be 18 minus 0.7 upon RB is 270 into 10 raised to 3 plus 2.2 into 10 raised to 3 into 1 plus 100. So whatever is this value, IC will be beta times of IB, that will be 100 into this value, and then VCE is equal to VCC minus IC plus IB into RC. This is 18 minus whatever into this terms into RC will be 2.2 into 10 raised to 3. So please tell me the value of IB and IC. So you can just take down the values first, okay. Same circuit, we are trying to calculate the Q point. So first I will use this equation. I will use this equation, then I will use second, and then I will use this third, 1, 2 and 3. Now you can see here that what is the value of IB? Can somebody post that value? 270 into 10 raised to 3 plus 2.2 into 10 raised to 3 into 101. 35.14. Okay, that is correct. With which 35.14 microamperes. So this will be 3.514 milliamperes. Yes, correct. Vinayak, right? So this will be 35.14 milliamperes plus 3.514 micro. So actually, don't forget to put like this in the calculator. 18 minus 3. 30. 3.514 into 10 raised to minus 3 plus 335 0.14 into 10 raised to minus 6 into 2.2 into 10 raised to 3. So whatever is this VC, just tell me. 10.267, okay, 10.25, 10.2 volts, okay, Vinayak. Yes. Now what you will do is you will calculate these same values for beta equal to 50 and beta equal to 100. So I want now IB, IC, VCE. Solve this. For beta equal to 100 and beta equal to 50, all other values are absolutely same. Beta equal to 50 and beta equal to 200. So just now we calculated this 35.14 microamperes, 3.51 milliamperes, and VC is 10.2 volts. Yes, Ayush, correct. Now Ayush, solve for beta equal to 50 and beta equal to 200. See, all formulas are there besides C. Now all you need to do is just chip in the values, that's it. VB is 0.7. So first you calculate for beta equal to 50, then you calculate for beta equal to 200. So why we are seeing this for a stability circuit is because we want to see what if beta changes. Is there some problem? So I'm writing the answers that I am getting. So for beta equal to 50, this becomes 45.2 microamperes. This becomes 2.26 milliamperes, correct, with which, and what about VCE? I'm getting 12.929, correct, with which. And for beta equal to 200, I'm getting this as 24.29 micro, and here we have 4.85 milliamperes, and then finally we have 7.25. So now you can see that this value and this value have come close. This and this have come close. They are not double or triple of each other. So all these values are coming close. So we can say that if this is the value of this is my Q point. So Q points are very close to each other. That is, there is not much variation in Q point. Not much variation in Q point. So you might get problems on this in the exam.
Sir, can we neglect the VBE 0.7?
No, you can't. Because it's a voltage drop, no?
Sir, but it's very small with respect to VCC.
No, it is not very small. Very small is 0.1% of VCC is very small.
Okay.
This is around 10% of VCC. So 10 or 5%, which is very large. Very small is, if it is 1,000 times smaller, then you can say it's negligible. So you can neglect IB here. See here. You can neglect this term. You will still get 10.2. But if you neglect VBE, you will not. You will get a very large variation in the current.
Okay.
So generally the principle is that if something is 1,000 times smaller then, and you are planning to add it, then you can neglect it. If you are planning to multiply and divide, still you can't neglect it. So since we are adding or subtracting, we can neglect. But when you are multiplying and dividing, you can't neglect small and big values. So I hope you have got this. So next time we will do potential divider bias circuit, and then straight away go to the AC analysis. Okay, so I'll stop. Let me take your